Thank you, Professor Nnerdal, for a really interesting talk today in Florence. I wanted to ask you, for the people that weren't here today, could you give a quick summary of your key research that you presented today?
I presented the research on proteins in breast milk and their biological activities. Proteins are not only just building blocks for the growing infant, but it also provides very important functions for the infant. And I try to exemplify that by both laboratory research and studies, clinical studies that we have done in various parts of the world, where we compare breastfed infants and infants fed formula, because some of these milk proteins that I discussed today can be purified from cow's milk and actually show similar, maybe not identical, activity if they're added. And our studies therefore can first show why these components are important in breast milk, but also for the proportion of infants that are being fed formula, hopefully can get improved infant formulas.
Okay. So in particular, you spoke about a couple of clinical situations or in low-resource settings where you used milk proteins or bioactive proteins to supplement infants or young children. Can you expand on that, or is there any area that you feel is going to be particularly important for that in the future?
I think what is going to be very important in the future is for the preterm infants. In many societies, there are significant populations of preterm infants, and preterm infants in proportion are increasing. They survive better than they did in the past. We have more preterm infants, and in many cases there's not enough breast milk or human milk banked in order to feed them. And if they are not fed breast milk, they are much more vulnerable to terrible diseases like necrotizing enterocolitis and sepsis that they can die from. And therefore there are large trials now with some of these major, originally found in breast milk, like lactoferrin and bile salt stimulated lipase, etc., that when given to preterm infants significantly better their outcomes. And I think not only does it strongly suggest the value of breast milk, but it gives a means that if there is not enough breast milk, there are possibilities to try to make the outcomes better for these preterm infants. So the preterm infant is more critically important because their likelihood of dying is much higher. For the term infant, then I think we still see differences in disease. We rarely see any difference in mortality, but certainly difference in morbidity. And we also see differences in cognitive development. And the hope would be that clinical trials can continue to show benefits from these components and that it can be translated into practice by adding some of these components to infant formula.
And what is the next future research for you? Anything exciting coming up?
That one is largely unpublished, but we have found, and the research group in Perth have also looked at that, there are small pieces of RNA in breast milk called microRNAs, and we are intensely working on that, and I think those also can affect the outcome of breastfed infants.
We look forward to these results and the published data. Thanks very much.
Thank you.